Yeah, thank you so much for the introduction, Matthias. Yeah, let's see what we can do with green in our cities and why it's so important to use green. Let's have a look at our cities today. These are some pictures that I took from Vienna, but you can take the same pictures in Stuttgart and Berlin and wherever you go in Europe. You will find urban landscapes like this. So you can't see a lot of green, do you? So cities today are more similar to deserts, mineralic and dead, mostly. And they are also not capable to deal with heavy rain events already, so that's very bad. But things are getting worse. The General Secretary of the United Nations called climate change the biggest challenge to human race ever. And here you can see a film from NASA that shows how our blue planet turns to a yellow, orange, and red planet over a few decades from 1950 to 2014. So there is a dramatic shift in temperatures, and you can see that the land masses are affected over proportionally. That is very important to realize that the average temperature increase is not relevant for your city because you're on a country, you're on a land mass, and you're affected much more than the global average. Still, I would like to show you this. This is very well known, the different scenarios of climate change. And some people ask, are they accurate? Are these prognoses accurate? Do they really match the real developments? And they do. If you look at the right figure and the black line, you can see the historical emissions in the first place and the prognosis until 2014. And they perfectly match what we call the business as usual scenario. That means that nobody does anything about climate change. This is reality. The global community fails completely on climate change mitigation. And that means that climate adaptation becomes evidently even more urgent and more important than ever before, because we need to adapt to the future scenarios, which are not very optimistic. But what does it mean, the global change to Europe, to your city where you live or your surrounding? Here is a study from the ETH Zurich from 2019, and they show the heat extremes, so the hottest days in the summer in 2050 that may reach highs of more than 45 degrees in the shadow in Vienna, so +7 compared to today. In Berlin and in Paris and in London, you have approximately +6 degrees in the shade in the summer, also ending up with temperatures of 42 to 45 degrees Celsius. This year we had in Malta, highest value was 49 degrees in the shade in Malta this year. So add 30 years and you will have this in your hometown probably. How can you find out how your future is going to be? I recommend this web page from the European Commission, from Copernicus, the climate analogues. You type in the name of your city and you can see where it will end up in the next decades. Very interesting tool. So we have cities that are not fit for the future, that are not climate proof today. And we have climate change and we have city growth. So what is the solution to cope with this challenge and the negative effects on our personal life, on our health, on our economy? The answer is quite simple for me as a landscape architect and scientist. It's plants. This is taken from the rooftop of the Biotope city. And it's also beautiful, actually. So there's a lot of ecosystem services derived by plants. Helga mentioned some. If you want to have a comprehensive list, look at the TEEP publication on ecosystem services. So you may ask, why plants? Because they're unique, of course. And I want to show you the impact of plants now on the urban energy balance first, and then on the urban water balance. So to give you a better understanding that this is nothing funny or something people who love plants say, but this is physics. It's about physics, and this is how it works. And the physical, the processes and the processes of physics are quite fixed, and we cannot really change them. So what are the processes involved in the energy balance? You have the sun. The sun is the main driver of all Earth living, but also of the climate system, basically. And if the sunlight hits the surface, certain processes occur, like the reflection, or albedo as we call it, the absorption of the energy, and unique to plants, we have photosynthesis, we have evapotranspiration, and latent heat emission, which can also be done by water bodies. Sensible heat emission, heat storage, and heat flux. These are the processes that occur when sunlight reaches the surface of a city, for instance. And there is a big difference between, so there is a short lag, sorry for that. Let's look at the effects of albedo. So the reflection of the sunlight. The sunlight is coming in, and if you look at the green and the pink lines, this is the reflection of green roofs. So green roofs reflect something between 10 and 20% of the incoming solar irradiance, while gravel and bitumen foil react differently. So 80% of the energy are taken by the green roof. Let's see where the energy goes. Energy is never gone, it's just somewhere else. It's like with the finance market. Money is never gone, just somebody else possesses it. So where's the energy? Let's see here a comparison of the building envelope temperature. On the top right figure, you can see the temperature underneath a sheet metal roof. It reaches up to 70 degrees, so very bad for the building envelope. And underneath an extensive green roof with 12 centimeters in height, you have only 47 degrees in maximum. So more than 20 degrees difference. So the energy is not transported to the building envelope totally. Then it must be somewhere else. So remember, 80% are picked up by the green roof. Some energy is transported to the building envelope, but much less than with regular roofings. And this is where you can see where the energy is gone. It's the evapotranspiration. This is a project where we measured the relative humidity in front of a living wall system. And what you can see here is that the relative humidity is increased significantly in comparison to the relative humidity in front of a rendered facade or the climatic background. You can see in the x-axis, the horizontal axis, the air temperature. So the higher the air temperature, the higher the relative humidity will raise in front of the living wall. What does that mean? It means that the living wall, so I need to switch the slide. It has a timely delay. Yes, now it's there. It means that the plants cool themselves, because if you transfer water from the fluid to the gas form, you use a lot of energy. And this energy cools down the surrounding. That means that plants always remain at the air temperature or below, while mineralic materials like rendered facades, asphalt, concrete, roof tiles from brick, whatever, they store energy and heat up massively. This is a problem for the urban heat islands and the tropical night situation that we face. So here the comparison, and depending on the surface temperature, these materials emit heat to the city. So we emit heat, so skip here. Here you can see the heat storage and the heat flux of a facade greening. Again, the measurements on the municipality department of Vienna 48. On the left-hand side, you can see the temperature of the wall behind the living wall in green, and without living wall, without green protection, the rendered facade. And again, you can see a massive difference of up to 17 degrees Celsius. It's the same wall, the same building, the same time. 17 degrees Celsius less material temperature in the wall. And on the right-hand side, you can see the energy transported to the inside of the building, the heat flux. And you can see that without living wall, you have up to 60 watts per square meter of energy transported to the indoors, while with the living wall, you have something like 0 to 15 watts per square meter at the same time. So a lot of energy is not given to the indoors. It's not emitted to the city. It's just used for photosynthesis and evapotranspiration and cooling basically the surrounding. Let's go to the effects on the water balance.
Bernhard, sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
Can you come to a conclusion given our very tight schedule?
Yeah. So I think there is a presentation about Sponge City anyways later on. Let's go to the relevance. How relevant are these effects? If you upscale or extrapolate the effects of greening on the urban area as a whole, like the perimeter block, which is the predominant urban typology in Vienna, you can calculate based on the findings that I showed before, the impact on the city of Vienna for the first, third, and so on for the districts with the perimeter block. You can see them here on the left-hand side. So with on only one hot day, you save 1.6 million of kilowatts of energy that are transformed by the plants. You can save 154 cubic meters of water runoff into the sewer system with one rain event only. And if you do a maximum greening of the city, it's even much more. So there is a significant effect that green can derive for your city and make it fit for the future, climate proof. And in the end, it's about the humans. So we as Helga mentioned before, we need a surrounding that fits our physiological needs. The biohuman metrology defines it as physical equivalent temperature. And we can only achieve this if we react with effective greenery in the city to really manage our energy system and water balance. So this so much, so quick from my side. Thank you for your attention and looking forward for any questions that may have arisen in the last 12 minutes.
Thank you very much, Bernhard.